Over the past few weeks I've had to deal with a number of problems in my saltwater aquarium. From a distance it looks like the tank is thriving, and in most aspects it is. But when we take a closer look, even closer than this, there are signs that something is horribly wrong. In this new update we'll go over the recent developments in the Saltwater Paludarium and how we can hopefully save these animals. I have never experienced anything like this. If you are new here, make sure you subscribe to the channel and give this video a thumbs up. Sit back, relax, and let's get started. First up, let's check out the freshwater fish we added during the video before this one, the 3 sailfin mollies. All 3 of them, the male and 2 females, are alive and seem to be doing well. Unfortunately, they were struggling a bit during the first 2 weeks, but they seem to have recovered really well. I think these 3 fish were a great addition to the Saltwater Paludarium. Last week when I was looking at the aquarium at night, right before going to bed, I noticed something. I saw a lot of small dark dots on the sand. Upon taking a closer look, I noticed they were fish, baby fish. It looks like the female sailfin mollies gave birth to some babies. I counted about 30 fish or so. They were very small. But oh no, something is lurking in the background. The decorator crab sits motionless in the aquarium, its camouflage blending perfectly with the rocks and algae. It's a master of disguise. When I first noticed these tiny fry in the aquarium, their translucent bodies catching glimmers of light, I couldn't help but feel a surge of hope. They were so small, so fragile, like sparks of light flickering in the water. But now they are nowhere to be seen. Were they smart enough to hide, finding refuge among the crevices of the rocks or the macroalgae? Or did they meet a far darker fate, becoming a meal for the ever-hungry inhabitants of my aquarium? I suspect the latter. It seems all too likely that most of these delicate little creatures didn't make it through the night. The tank is full of opportunists, from the swift-moving fish to the cunning crabs and sneaky snails. Every flick of a tail or ripple of movement holds a potential threat for these baby fish. Today I've searched every corner of the aquarium, peered behind every piece of macroalgae, but the babies are gone. Ghosts of what once was. It's a harsh reminder of the balance of life in this tiny underwater world. Survival here isn't a guarantee. It is a gamble, and most of the time, the odds aren't kind. If conditions get a little stressful, like competition for nutrients or overcrowding, some types of macroalgae may decide to reproduce sexually. The signs are pretty obvious. Parts of the algae starts looking pale, translucent, or even slimy. And then, boom, it disintegrates and releases a cloudy substance into the water. Most of the time when this happens, it happens to Caulerpa species. These fast-growing macroalgae seem to have a habit of it. Fortunately, this cloudiness in the water isn't harmful for a big system like this. It just gets consumed by the filter feeders in the tank and broken down by beneficial bacteria. In a smaller aquarium, you should do a water change, because it can spike your nutrient levels, and this in turn can lead to problems. When I noticed some hare algae started to form on the back of the aquarium a few weeks ago, I knew I needed a natural solution: sea urchins. These little guys are incredible. Within days they got to work grazing on every patch of hare algae they could find. These sea urchins did an amazing job clearing up the hare algae problem. But now they've developed a taste for the good stuff. After finishing the hare algae, they turned their attention to my prized macroalgae. And while they do help trim it down a bit, they don't do it evenly. They will also spread some invasive macroalgae like feather Caulerpa to other parts of the aquarium. This is not part of the plan, so I'll have to move these sea urchins to a new tank soon. But don't worry, I'm working on a few projects. Stay tuned. They've done their job here, so now it is time for a new assignment. If you've made it this far, please give this video a thumbs up and say hi in the comment section down below. As you can see, 2 very cool blue fish are swimming across the aquarium all the time. They are kind of video bombing this video. These fish are called cleaner wrasses, and they are here to help us manage a major issue. But before we go into that, let me show you the other animals I added. When I added porcelain crabs in my aquarium, I knew they'd be cool. These little guys are like the ultimate blend of function and flair. Perched on rocks or nestled among corals, they use their delicate fan-like claws to filter feed, waving them gracefully in the current like tiny underwater ballerinas. Despite their delicate appearance, they hold their own in the reef, grabbing a cozy spot and sticking to it like they own the place. Watching these crabs adds a whole new level of charm to the aquarium. I recently also discovered a surprise guest, a beautiful red Dolabella sea hare. These fascinating creatures are incredible algae eaters, and I couldn't believe my luck finding one in my aquarium. It must have hitchhiked its way into the aquarium on some macroalgae or something a while back. Now it's happily munching away, helping to keep the tank clean and balanced. Watching it glide over the glass is mesmerizing. It's like having an underwater gardener. Sometimes the best surprises in reef keeping are the ones you never expect. But this is not always the case. Because a few weeks ago I started noticing some spots on my cardinal fish, and later this spread to the sailfin mollies and clownfish. We are facing a major problem. As you might have noticed by now, the cardinals are no longer here. They did not survive. This is terrible news. We are facing a saltwater ick outbreak. This parasite can easily hitchhike into a tank, often through new fish, inverts, or even live rock or coral. The catalyst for ick becoming visible is often stress-related. Changes in water quality, temperature fluctuations, overcrowding, or the introduction of new tank mates can weaken a fish immune system, giving the parasite the upper hand. And once it's present in the aquarium, a stressed fish makes it easier for the parasite to complete its life cycle, leading to outbreaks like this one. Of course, there was a way to avoid this from happening by going through a rigid quarantine process for everything we add to the aquarium. This means rocks, corals, fish, inverts, everything. But executing this is nearly impossible for most reef keepers. Let's face it, almost no one will be able to do this the correct way. Either way, the parasite found its way into the aquarium, and there are ways we can manage it. This parasite has a complex life cycle. It attaches to the fish, feeding and growing as visible white cysts on the fish, and later it falls off, multiplying before reinfecting its hosts. Left unchecked, it can become a real threat to the aquarium. To make sure we were dealing with this parasite in particular and not something else, I worked with a reef vet to examine a sample under the microscope. And there it was, clear evidence of marine ick. Here's the hard truth. There's no reef-safe treatment for saltwater ick. While copper or hyposalinity treatments work in a quarantine tank, they can't be used in a reef system without harming corals and invertebrates. The only way to fully eliminate ick from an aquarium is a fallow period, removing all fish for 6 to 8 weeks to break the parasite's life cycle. If there's no host, the parasite will die. But for me, that's not an option, as we won't be able to catch out all the nano-gobies that live in between the rocks. So instead, I'm focusing on supporting my fish. A strong immune system is their best defense. And as long as they stay healthy and well fed, they can fight off the parasite and live with it. I also added 2 cleaner wrasses and a cleaner shrimp. These animals will help eat parasites off of the fish. For now, I won't be adding any new fish. My priority is keeping these fish strong and ensuring they survive. It's a tough situation, but reef keeping is full of challenges, and this is just one more to navigate. For the next few months, we will focus on shaping the reef itself. We will be adding corals and invertebrates as they are unaffected by this marine parasite. We will also make improvements to the plant section above the water. It will look epic. 2 of my mollies have some damage on their back fin. I've been observing the tank and I do see some aggression between the cleaner wrasses and the mollies. So perhaps they are the ones that have caused this. We'll have to keep an eye on that because maybe the cleaner wrasses or the mollies have to move out. I was recommended to give these wounded fish an iodine bath in a separate container to make sure that the wounds don't get affected. A little less than 2 weeks ago, I was kind of worried for my clownfish. They had ick and some mucus issues, and it looked horrible. But like the other fish, we looked under the microscope and we were assured that it's just ick and nothing else. I can say that the clownfish is looking 100 times better now. But as you can see, it still has some pale spots. But I'm sure those will heal as well. The pair of clownfish also decided to move into the Alveopora garden. It's possible that there is some warfare going on between the coral and the fish, causing these pale spots. I'm not sure. One of the best investments for this setup so far has been my canister filter. Except for some ceramic rings, it's empty. It doesn't really filter anything with sponges. But the beneficial bacteria that live on these ceramic rings help break down toxic waste like ammonia. The main purpose of this device is to heat the aquarium. Since it has an internal heater, it provides more flow and it skims off the surface of the water. Without that, an oily looking biofilm would form, as you could see in some previous videos. And yes, you can get the same results with a sump and an overflow, but I didn't want that. Maybe you've noticed something else in the tank as well. The massive Space Invader chalice is gone. It got so big, I decided to let a friend frag it with a bandsaw. It opened up a nice spot here in the front of the aquarium, so we can now easily see the back of the tank. Some setbacks, some improvements, there is always something to learn when it comes to reef keeping. For now, I'm going to shop for some coral and hope to see you on the next one. Thanks for watching.